is a term. Right-hand path and left-hand path aren't just strict dichotomies. There's a lot of overlap, and if you're an occultist and you're trying to achieve something through your occult practices, or your religious practices even, there are two main kind of end goals. And for the right-hand path, these are the same end goals as most large organized religions. So they seek a type of blissful annihilation into unity with the monad, or conception of the whole, or God, or divinity, or nirvana. It's this state of disassociating with your own personality or ego as being false or something that can be discarded. And once that's discarded, you can achieve a type of a link with that ultimate source of life and what's pushing the universe forward, nature, evolution, whatever you want to call it. Just kind of blissfully dissolving yourself in that and becoming part of the unity of all. Now, a lot of the practices that are used to attain this are ones done to destroy personal preference. So sometimes taboo breaking can play into this, but it's in order to kind of, it's less taboo breaking in the right-hand path. More often the way that they try and destroy the boundaries of what your personal preferences are is through acceptance. So whatever you find, whatever situations you find yourself in, to accept them as part of the greater plan of the universe, or it's all just part of the process of nature. It's all part of the Tao, and to merge yourself with that stream is their goal. And so they try not to kind of smash down the barriers, but more in terms of like a Buddhist monk with his begging bowl. He'll eat whatever it is, even though they may have a personal preference for vegetarian. If somebody gives them meat, they'll just eat it and they won't complain, and that's kind of their way of kind of breaking the personal preference kind of thing. And also self-sacrifice is another major practice, or at least philosophy, within the right-hand path. And it blends in with the concept of the collective rather than the individual. The collective is what's important, and you're to integrate yourself into that fully, harmoniously, into that whole rush of nature, moving forward, ever forward. Now, so yeah, that tends towards collectivism, the right-hand path. And for a Gnostic Luciferian specifically, this would be, the idea is to kind of overcome the demiurge and his archons to unite with the God Most High, the true ultimate divinity of the universe, and basically to break through the delusions that you're being fed in order to kind of reunite with that. And there are Luciferians out there that do have that right-hand path kind of mentality, and that's what they're actively working toward. Now, if you're a left-hand path Luciferian, which I think the majority are, but maybe not by a lot, maybe it's like 60-40, they would seek to enhance the part of themselves that makes them unique. And this is essentially what's called apotheosis, or becoming God, or godlike, is what the actual meaning of the word means. And it's essentially to seek to attain your greatest potential. You as an individual, not you as one of the species of human, you as as Lydia, as Candy, That's apotheosis, or apotheosis. And there are a lot of the same practices that are done in the left-hand path and the right-hand path, but a lot of them are done with a different intention, and the results are used in different ways. So taboo breaking does happen a lot, but it's more in terms of, it's not so much as trying to accept the flow, it's more of trying to break out of the rigid boundaries that you've been placed within, and to really find what your preferences really are, is to explore. Like, how do you know if you like mangoes if you've never tried mangoes, you know? Or pork. How do you know you don't like pork if you've never tried it? And maybe it's a taboo for you to even eat pork because all of your family and all of your friends and all of your community say, you know, that God doesn't want you to eat pork, you know, but you might break that taboo and you might find that you really enjoy pork. And then you start having bacon a lot. But that would be more of a left-hand path version, whereas in the right-hand path, for the same example, you'd be like, well, I'll just accept that I'm not going to eat pork and just be happy with that. And not have a preference, and just say, well, this is kind of the path that I've found myself on, or this is, you know, what's been asked of me, and so I'm just going to go along with that. No, I think I'm going to try that pork and see what I think for myself, and then decide. Another way that you could another example could be such as telling the emperor he has no clothes, you know. Rather than just going along with everybody, you break the taboo by telling the truth, you know. And so taboo breaking does have a big role in left-hand path practice, and the philosophy behind it is basically to empower yourself rather than to find acceptance in the place you find yourself in already. So in general, for a Luciferian on the left-hand path, the idea is to become a god in your own right, yourself, not unite with some ultimate collective god type thing, or nature or nirvana or any of those other relatively equivalent concepts. It's to become a force in the universe in your own right, a god. Now that can be interpreted in a lot of different ways. So it can be interpreted more or less literally, where people talk about ascension. I'm not sure if you've heard, that's a term, that's a buzzword in the New Age community, where people talk about attaining a certain state where you are internally harmonized to the point where you kind of just, a lot of the limitations are removed off of you that weren't real limitations in the first place, like the diamond body or the rainbow body in certain branches of Buddhism is this kind of concept. Taoist immortality is a very similar concept as well. In a way, for a Luciferian on the left-hand path, it's very similar to the idea of a bodhisattva, where a bodhisattva in Buddhism is somebody who has reached a stage of enlightenment where they could just go off into that blissful state and let go of their own individuality completely, but they could also decide to forego that and